My dear student, physics first paper, chapter number 2, vector. My today's topic is two-dimensional vector. My dear student, my today's topic is two-dimensional vector. Okay, suppose a vector having two sides only. One is x-axis, another is y-axis. Then you can say that that type of vector is called two-dimensional vector. So this is, suppose for example, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. Now I'm just imagine a vector quantity. Okay, that stay at this particular point. This point is point P. And this point is O. O point is known as here, you know that, point of origin. My dear student, O point is known as point of origin. If you connect O to P, if you connect here O to P, then O to P indicate a vector, that is vector P. You can say that, sir, this vector P stay in between two-dimensional set, two-dimensional plane. One is x side, another is y side. Since it can stay in two-dimensional plane, one is x side, another is y side. Now I'm going to calculate its at first x side, then y side. So my first target is to find out the vector representation of this two-dimensional vector. My dear student, the vector representation of this two-dimensional vector. Okay. So because of this, at first I'm going to draw a vertical line from point P to x-axis up to point M. Then you can say that this vector P has two parts. One is x side, that is horizontal component. Another is y side, that is vertical component. So you can say that OM is denoted by the x side, the side that is along x-axis. And you also see that here PM, that's denoted along the y side, the side that stay along vertical side. So along O to M, this is a vector. Along P to M, this is another vector. Okay, this O to M indicate x part of this vector. This M to P indicate here y part of this vector. Now if we apply laws of triangle, my dear student, if we apply laws of triangle in triangle OPM, then we can say that here OP will equal to what? Will equal to OM plus MP. Okay, can I write down this, my dear student? Can I write down this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my dear student, I can write down this. Okay, so I can write down this. So I can say that, my dear student, so here OP will equal to what? OP will equal to here OM plus MP. What? OM plus MP. Now OP denoted by vector, that is vector P. You say that OM is the x-axis or is the horizontal component of this vector P. And now MP is the vertical component of this vector P. So this is Py. This is suppose equation number 1. My dear student, this is suppose equation number 1. So you can say that a two-dimensional vector quantity has two parts. One is x-axis side, x part, that is called horizontal part. Another is y part, that is called vertical part. Now I want to know, my dear student, how can I represent Px and how can I represent Py? My dear student, I want to know how can I represent Px and then how can I represent Py vectorically. Okay, to represent this, to show this, to express this, okay, you need to take help some unit vector concept. You know that in 3D Cartesian coordinate system, I hat indicate unit vector along x-axis, j hat indicate unit vector along y-axis, k hat indicate unit vector along z-axis. This I hat, k hat, j hat, I repeat, my dear student, this I hat, k hat, j hat. Okay, so these are nothing but rectangular unit vector. So among this rectangular unit vector, I'm just take help of x-axis side, that is I hat unit vector along x-axis, and j hat unit vector along y-axis. You know that a vector quantity equal to its magnitude into direction. This direction is nothing but its unit vector. So you can say that vector quantity or a vector will equal to at first magnitude into unit vector. Now my dear student, if I want to find out px, what if I want to find out here px having a vector sign, so how can I find out px? This px equal to at first is magnitude into a unit vector that is acting along x-axis. My dear student, a unit vector that is acting along x-axis. Now, the unit vector that is acting along x-axis is nothing but I hat or I cap. My dear student, I hat or I cap. Okay? And then, if you want to find out py, so can you explain? Can you say how can I find out py? Any one of you? How can I find out py?
So PY hat.
Py into j hat.
Very good. So it is py just like this, py j hat or j cap. Good. Now, from equation 1, you can say that, sir, this vector p, my dear student, this vector p will equal to at first px I hat plus then what? Py j hat. So this is the equation for the case of two-dimensional vector. So this equation number 2, my dear student, this equation number 2 is the equation for the case of two-dimensional vector. Okay, so two-dimensional vector having a vector, okay, just like this pattern. Okay, suppose px I hat or py j hat. Now, for example, okay, my dear student, now for example, suppose I am to find out, suppose write down here p equal to 2i hat plus 3j hat. This is a two-dimensional vector. If somebody said that, sir, a will equal to what? Will equal to minus I hat plus 5j hat. So this is a two-dimensional vector. If some of your friends say that, sir, b will equal to what? Will equal to I hat minus 2j hat. Then this is also a two-dimensional vector, my dear student. Then what? This is also a two-dimensional vector. So these are the example of two-dimensional vector. My dear student, up to this discussion about two-dimensional vector, anyone, any confusion? I repeat, my dear student.
Sir.
Yes, I'm hearing.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, p vector equal to px I hat plus py j hat. এটা কিভাবে পেলাম? Pythagoras theorem দিয়ে.
Okay, very good, very good. You see that here, px equal to what? Px vector equal to what? If you use this concept of basic concept of vector, you see that a vector quantity equal to what? A vector quantity equal to magnitude into unit vector. Okay, my dear student, magnitude into unit vector. Okay, now what is the magnitude of x component of this vector? That is px. Suppose that is px. Okay, and you see that I hat is acting along x-axis. My dear student, I hat is acting along x-axis. So this is px I hat. Okay, and then you see that what's the value of py? This is py j hat. My dear student, this is py j hat. Okay, now you can say that, sir, how can I find out equation number 2? By put down this value of px and py in equation number 1, you can get equation number 2. Now, returns back to equation number 1. How can I find out equation number 1? If we apply laws of triangle, my dear student, in triangle OPM, then obviously we'll get here OP equal to OM plus MP. So this comes from the laws of triangle. Now, can you understand, my dear student?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, very good. In next step, I'm going to use here the concept of component theory. My dear student, in next step, I'm going to use here the concept of component theory. Suppose this vector P. Suppose this vector P makes an angle theta with x-axis. My dear student, suppose this vector P makes angle theta with x-axis. Then, can you say this? Px equal to horizontal component of P. My dear student, what is Px? Px is the horizontal component of P component of P is the Px. So Px equal to what? Horizontal component of P. Suppose P is the magnitude of vector P and theta is the angle. Now what is the value of horizontal component of P, my dear student? Now what is the value of horizontal component of P, my dear student?
P cos
P cos theta.
P cos theta. Very good. So Px equal to, this is P cos theta. Now, I'm going to find out the vertical component of P, that is Py. So, Py will equal to vertical component of P. P equal to what? P equal to here, vertical component of P. Okay? And you see that the vertical component of P equal to,
P sin theta.
P sin theta.
very good. So it is P sin theta. So it is P sin theta. Now you can put down these values in equation number 2. So if you put down these values in equation number 2, then you can say that vector P will equal to P cos theta I hat plus this is P sin theta j hat. So this is another presentation of this two-dimensional vector. My dear student, this is another presentation of this two-dimensional vector. Okay? I repeat, my dear student, this is another presentation of this two-dimensional vector. Okay. In next step, these are the presentation of vector. So after presenting of a vector quantity, next question arises here. That is, how can I find out magnitude of this vector? My dear student, how can I find out magnitude of this vector? So, in next step, I'm going to find out the magnitude of P. Let's see how can I find out this magnitude of P. So, magnitude of P. Of P. You see here, my dear student, OP, OM, and MP. These three sides makes a right angle triangle. Because this is a right angle. Okay, because this is a right angle. Since this three sides makes a right angle triangle, that's why we can apply here Pythagoras theorem. So if we apply Pythagoras theorem, then you can say that this is OP square will equal to OM square plus it is MP square plus it is what? MP square. Okay. Now put down the magnitude only here. OP equal to P square will equal to PX square plus PY square. PY square. So P will equal to root over then Px square plus Py square. So this is the magnitude of a two-dimensional vector. My dear student, this is the magnitude of a two-dimensional vector. Any confusion, my dear student? Any confusion about the magnitude of a two-dimensional vector? My dear student?
No, sir.
Any confusion about the magnitude of a two-dimensional vector? Okay. Now, in next step, I'm going to find out the angle theta of a two-dimensional vector. I repeat, my dear student, angle theta of a two-dimensional vector. Okay. In next step, I'm going to find out the value of angle theta of this two-dimensional vector. So, direction of P. You see that, just suppose given information is Px and Py. And by using Px and Py, you want to know, my dear student, you want to find out what? Find out its direction theta. Then you may apply here tan theta. So that tan theta will equal to, you can say it is perpendicular by base. So angle theta will equal to what? Will equal to tan inverse, perpendicular is Py and base is here Px. So this is the direction, my dear student. So this what? So this is the direction. So what is the direction? So direction theta equal to tan inverse Py divided by Px. My last question. I want to know what is the unit vector of a two-dimensional vector. My dear student, my last question is, I want to find out what's the unit vector of a two-dimensional vector. So, unit vector. Unit vector. My dear student. So what? So, unit vector. You know that unit vector equal to what, my dear student? Unit vector equal to what? This is the ratio of vector with respect to its magnitude. This is the ratio of vector with respect to its magnitude. Okay, my dear student? This is the ratio of vector with respect to its magnitude. So, vector quantity divided by magnitude. Okay, my dear student? Vector quantity divided by magnitude. Okay. So, unit vector is denoted by eta hat. This symbol is known as eta hat or eta cap. My dear student, this symbol is known as eta hat or eta cap. Okay? Will equal to vector is vector P. Its magnitude is suppose P, only P. Its magnitude is suppose only P. Now, my dear student, so eta hat. What was vector P? My dear student, what was vector P?
XI hat plus PYI hat.
Exactly. P equal to, in simple case, Px I hat or I cap plus Py j hat or j cap. Px I hat or I cap plus Py j hat or j cap. Good. Now P equal to what? P equal to magnitude only.
Root over
Px
Px
square
Py
plus
Py square.
Py square. Baba amuk kache jao, amuk kache jao. Okay? Now it is Px divided by root over Px square plus Py square I hat plus it is py divided by root over px square plus py square j hat. So this is the unit vector. My dear student, this is the unit vector. Okay, my dear student. So this is the unit vector. Now, if somebody asks you that the magnitude of unit vector is 1 unit. I repeat, my dear student, if somebody asks you that the magnitude of unit vector is 1 unit, and you want to show this, how this one becomes 1 unit. My dear student, how this one becomes 1 unit. Okay, you are going to show this. You have to show this, how this one becomes 1 unit. So let's show this, why its magnitude becomes only 1 unit. Now I'm going to find out the magnitude of eta hat. We can say that eta hat modulus will equal to, magnitude means what? Magnitude means at first you must give a root over sign and then make a square. Px divided by root over, this is px square plus py square whole square, and then you just make a root over here. So py divided by root over px square plus this is py square whole square. So it will equal to root over at first. So px square, this root over sign will cancel out from denominator, and equation is here px square plus py square plus this is py square sign. So this is px square plus this is what? Py square, my dear student, plus this is py square. Okay, now make LCM here. After doing LCM, you can say this one is px square plus this one is py square. So it is px square plus py square. Will it give you unit magnitude, my dear student? Will it give you unit magnitude?
Yes, sir.
So it will give you unit magnitude. Okay, so it will equal to 1. Now make sure that all of my students understand this vector algebra part. My dear student, make sure that all of my students can understand this vector algebra part. Just look after this once. Okay, my dear student, any confusion here? Anyone? Anyone, my dear student, any confusion here? Any one of you? Okay. If you have no problem, then I'm going to practice some mathematical problem on the basis of this theoretical part. I'm going to practice some mathematical problem here, okay? Suppose vector p equal to 2i hat plus 4j hat. At first, I'm going to find out magnitude of p. So, my dear student, magnitude of p will equal to what? P will equal to root over, first one is 2 square plus 4 square. Because you see that 2 is the x component and 4 is the y component. So first of all, 2 square plus 4 square will equal to what? My dear student, what is the unit of this vector? What's the magnitude of this vector, my dear student?
4.47.
It is 4.47 unit. Very good. It's 4.47 unit. Now I'm going to find out its direction. Direction of P with x-axis, or on the direction of P, my dear student, or only what? Or only here, direction of P. I just want to find out only direction of P. Okay? So, direction means what? Theta will equal to tan inverse. Okay? At first, Py divided by Px. My dear student, at first Py divided by Px. Now, what is the value of Py? Py equal to 4 divided by Px. Px equal to 2. So 4 divided by 2. Now find out what is the value of angle with x-axis for this two-dimensional vector.
63.43.
60,
63.43.
63.43 degree. My dear student, this is 63.43 degree. Okay. So theta equal to what? Theta equal to here 63.43 degree. Okay. Now, I'm going to find out unit vector of vector P. Unit vector of vector P. My dear student, unit vector of vector P. So, unit vector of vector P eta hat will equal to what? Vector divided by its magnitude. My dear student, vector divided by its magnitude. Okay? Now, P equal to 2i hat plus 4j hat. What's the magnitude of P? P equal to here 4.47. You may divide this function into two parts. Then you can say that it is 2 divided by 4.47 I hat plus it is 4 divided by 4.47 j hat. So this is the unit vector of vector P. My dear student, I'm doing some calculation here. Up to this calculation or about this calculation, anyone, any confusion? My dear student, any confusion
Unit
here?
vector কি ফ্র্যাকশনের মধ্যেই রাখবো?
তোমার ইচ্ছা, no problem. Okay. It depends on you. So it is just like this, a unit vector. Okay. My dear student, can you solve this type of problem? My dear student?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, now, my dear student, solve a problem just like this. Suppose vector A equal to, this is 5i hat plus 4j hat. Now find out these three properties, my dear student. These questions, solve these questions on the basis of this step. This is 5i hat plus what? Plus what? It is 4j hat. My dear student, vector A equal to 5i hat plus 4j hat. At first find out magnitude, then direction of vector A, and at last unit vector. And at last what? Unit vector. Now find out this in my today's class. Okay. What's the magnitude of A, my dear student?
6.403.
6.403. Okay. Now, what's the value of theta? What's the angle?
38.65.
38.65 degree. Now, what's the value of unit vector? It will equal to
5 by 6.
5 by 6.403 I hat plus it is 4 divided by 6.403 j hat. Now, my dear student, raise your hand after solving this question. My dear student, raise your hand after solving this question.